Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Rustam, and today I'm going to record part 3 of my lecture, which is being recorded to cover the topic Schools of Linguistics. This lecture is being recorded to for BS English third semester students studying Introduction to Linguistics, which is a course taught to students studying from University of Abbottabad, Science and Technology, and University of Hazara, Mansehra. So, as I often say that my way of teaching is that initially I just share bold points with the students, and later on I elaborate upon them and I expand the what should I say, the bold points. So in my first lecture I talked about all the schools of linguistics. Then in the second lecture I talked about this historicism, okay, and today I'm going to talk about structuralism. So I have just shown these schools, as you can see, as a step of ladder, as you can see. So at the first I have shown Antiquity, that is a study of language in the past, classical antiquity. I mentioned in my first lecture Panini. Panini was a philologist and grammarian. He was, he wrote 8 books on Sanskrit language, and he was a kind of pioneer of phonetics, okay, and Ashtadhyay, as you can see, Sanskrit word Ashtadhyay, it means 8 books. So in this book, these 8 books, he around about 4,000 lines or verses are about how sounds are produced. So he talked about phonetics in his work. He was before Plato, and he was, you can say, 5th to 7th century before Jesus Christ. Later on, Plato came, and Plato talked about Cratylus. Cratylus was a dialogue in which there are 2 persons. One is Cratylus, and other one is Hermogenes, and these two experts, the dialoguers, are the debaters. They meet Socrates, and they ask about meaning and words, etc. So 2 views are presented, and one is conventionalist view and another one is naturalist view. I'll talk about it later on. So in my previous video I talked about historicism, that is historical linguistics, which started with Sir William Jones when he published his paper in 1786, and he read this paper before Bengal Society, Royal Society of Bengal, and this gave way to comparative linguistics, and thus started interest in comparison of language and languages and language families, cognates, etc. Now let me quickly name the schools of linguistics. Historicism, that flourished in 19th century. Then structuralism, okay, 20th century, you can say early to mid 20th century, and Ferdinand de Saussure was the pioneer or founder of this modern linguistics. Then we have Noam Chomsky, mid to late 20th century. This is known as generativism. And at the end we have functionalism, which had a day after 1970, okay, AD. So these are 4 schools, although there are other schools as well, but these 4 schools which study language, they are very important. They are part of the course being taught to BS English third students. So I'm just covering these schools one by one. So historicism, structuralism, generativism, and functionalism. Today I'm going to talk about structuralism. Structuralism was a reaction against historicism, historical linguistics, okay, which was there in 19th century. So now structuralism is associated with Ferdinand de Saussure. Okay, let me take you to the next slide. Who was Ferdinand de Saussure? He was teaching in University of Geneva okay, Switzerland, from 1906 to 1911. And earlier he himself was a scholar of comparative linguistics, that is the linguistics of 19th century, okay, that is historical linguistics. But he was not satisfied with it. He taught a course in linguistics from 1906 to 1911. He had a chair in this university, he was a lecturer there, and he did not write any book. However, his two students, Ballet and Albert, they compiled notes, lecture notes, into a book, and this book was published in 1916. Okay, so the name of the book is Course in General Linguistics. The book is written in French. It has been translated into English. Now, the main concept of de Saussure was that he changed, what should I say, he gave the idea of sign, linguistic sign. He said that the words we use, which he calls signifier. He says that signifier are linguistic symbols. They are used to name things in the real life or in the mind, but actually meaning is a combination of this signifier with signified. So we can't name things. It was the tradition in traditional grammar or in historical linguistics that people try to give names to the real life objects or notions, material things or non-material things, and they thought that words intrinsically have some meaning with the things in the real world. He said no, it is arbitrariness. Like here, let's say these are the three signifiers: signified and significant. It is a linguistic sign, okay, linguistic sign. So linguistic sign is just a word, okay, but there are other aspects of this sign. Like when we have an idea, here I have tried to draw a dog, okay. So first thing is thought, okay. In our mind we have a thought about a dog, okay. This is known as ideal image or mental image, okay, or a concept. Now this concept, this thought needs language to convey, okay. So we use language, that is signifier or linguistic symbols, okay. It can be a word like a dog, dog, sug, kalb, kutta, chain, spay. So these are different languages. So these are series of sound images, okay. This is known as sound image, okay, sound image. These are known as sound images. So sound images are produced, but de Saussure says that there is no link, there is no intrinsic relation between these sounds and the real objects. Let me show you the real object, significant. Like objects are referent cultural entities, like dog. So this dog, which we can see in the real world or we have an image in our mind, so this can be called by any name the speech community decides, okay. Like some speech communities use these sounds, dog, okay, like they use these three sounds to indicate this object, dog. So but other community like Urdu, they call it using this sound series, kutta, like see kutta. So they use four sounds to represent this real like image in the word, okay. Canine family, four-legged animal belonging to canine family and having the feature of barking. So they use this sound image, and English people use this, and in Persian people use sag, okay. Let me show you sound sag, okay, sag. So now there is no intrinsic relationship between sounds and the real image, so any community can name it any way they like. So this was the idea, that it is the conventionalist view. De Saussure says that there is nothing in these sounds. So some other community may call it some other sense. The real object will remain the same, or the mental image will remain the same. Okay, the dog in our mind will remain the same, and the dog in real life will remain the same, but these words will be changing. Okay, this is known as theory of arbitrariness. There is we can name this object in any way. So this is known as linguistic sign, idea of linguistic sign propounded by de Saussure. The another important concept which was given by de Saussure was that syntagm and paradigm. He said that a syntagm is an ordered series of signs that makes sense. Okay, or you can say the signs are words. Okay, signs are words. So these are let me take you to the previous image. So these words are actually signs. Okay, this is known as linguistic signs or linguistic symbols, words. So these words make sense because of their relation to other signs. A thing's identity is defined by the larger structure that it is part of. Let me explain it. Now here is a syntagm. This is known as syntagm, syntagmatic relation. That he ate a biscuit. Okay, she wrote a letter. I sent a message. They broke the glass. So in this linear horizontal relationship between words, we can change words from the same paradigm. Like instead of at, we can bring wrote, we can bring in said, sent, or broke, but we can't here put a word from other paradigm, like let's say this paradigm. So just try to put it. We can't say e biscuit, e biscuit. Okay, he biscuit, we can't bring. If we have to bring some other word instead of at or eight, sometimes we pronounce it, we have it have to be a verb. Okay, it has to be this verb there should be a verb from the paradigm of verbs. So this is subject or pronouns. So we can replace some word in this vertical paradigm from any other pronoun. So we can't bring a word from here like a, the, and. So he said that words have a horizontal relationship as well as vertical relationship, and if you want to know the meaning of any word, so you have to understand this structure. Okay, syntagmatic relation between words and paradigmatic relation between words. So languages differ from each other. Every language has got syntagm and paradigms, but every language has got its own syntax or syntagmatic arrangement. Like in Urdu we say, let's say he ate a biscuit, वो बिस्किट खाता है, या उसने बिस्किट खाया. लेट्स से उसने बिस्किट khaya. Okay, now in Urdu syntagm we have first this pronoun and then object. Okay, it is like SOV, but in English it is SVO. It means syntagm of languages may differ, but there must be an arrangement, and there must be linear arrangement and a vertical arrangement. Okay, so linear arrangement of words is known as syntagmatic relations, and vertical arrangement is known as paradigmatic relation. So each word is meaningful as a member of certain set of words. So he does not have any meaning unless it is in this linear arrangement. Okay, likewise a or a, it has no meaning unless it is in this syntactical chain, like horizontal chain. So this was propounded by de Saussure, and he said that language is a system of structures. If you modify one structure, other structures will be modified too. Okay, let me explain it further. What is structuralism? That is structural linguistics. A system in which each element in a group can only be understood by its relation to other elements as part of a larger structure. Here he brings in synchrony and diachrony. Like let me explain these terms first. Synchrony, these are Latin words, okay. In Latin, syn, this means at the same time. Chronos means time, and dia means passing of time. Synchrony means at the same time, study of language at the same time. And diachronic means study of language in history, okay. Let me change the color first, okay. So here synchronic linguistics, that is a linguistics which was uh, popularized by Ferdinand de Saussure, Swiss linguist. Synchronic linguistics is the study of the language system at this time, and I'm emphasizing the word language system, I'll later explain it. That and diachronic linguistics is the study of this system in history, historic linguistics. That is, it is another school, historicism or historical linguistics, which was prior to Ferdinand de Saussure in 19th century. That was initiated by Sir William Jones once he had read his paper before the Society of Bengal. So uh, and what is the system, actual system? La langue is a term used by de Saussure. La langue is the whole system of a language, okay. The knowledge of the whole system is in the mind of the native speaker, okay. And la langue is stored up in the brain, but not all of it is used perfectly all the time. And parole, what is parole? Sounds we produce may be faulty. Now what is parole? Let me take you back to this diagram. So these sound images, which is language. This language has two aspects. One is la langue, okay. La langue, it's a French word, and the other one is parole. So la langue is the actual language which is in our mind, okay. And you can say signified aspect, okay, concepts. And the parole, this language which is signifier, words or sound images we produce, this is known as parole. This parole can be faulty. When we name things in the real words, we may be at fault. So this parole does not have any standard. The speech, the corpus in real life, the speech we use or the words we utter, they have to be associated with signified, okay, la langue. So unless la langue is understood and studied, just studying parole, okay, is of no use. So this was the idea propounded by de Saussure. He said that words we use, they are just sound images, okay, and they can be understood only with relation to the signified, the actual. So he said sign has two aspects. One is the image in our mind, and the other is the word we use, okay. So words we use are the objects they point in the real world. They can't be reliable source, because words keep changing, sound images keep changing. Every society, every speech community has their own convention to name things. So he criticized diachronic linguistics, which used philological procedures. They compared words of one language with another language. He said, why we are studying words? So words we are studying, and we are trying to create families, tree language families, and our whole study is based upon words. So words, he indirectly called these words parole. He said this parole is faulty, so we should come out of this parole. We should study la langue, the actual language in the word, actual language in the brain. Okay, hope you have got this idea, parole and la langue. So he kind of way he said that actual thing is idea, thought, or la langue, okay, and not the linguistic form or parole, okay. And the parole cannot convey meanings, okay. And that's why he says that kutta, sag, or you can say dog, chain, these are French word, and other names, kalb. So these are just sound images, they are conventions. Society has coined these sound images. So why we are studying these words? Actual thing is the real concept, okay, the la langue. So now the sign is the whole that results from the association of the signifier with the signified. So now comparing words of language is futile. It is of no use. So the previous tradition, philology, or the study of love of words, or historical linguistics, he condemned. He said it is of no use. So instead of studying language in history, we should study language of a particular era. First we need to understand the structure of language. So how language is made up. So what is language in the mind of the speaker or the readers. So instead of going back into history, he said we should concentrate on studying the structure of system of a language at a particular point in time. So that's why Ferdinand de Saussure's linguistics is known as synchronic linguistics. Okay, so let me take you further. He said that these are just parole. We need to probe la langue. So he said that words of one language, and we are comparing words of one language with the words of another language, which is comparative linguistics or historical linguistics or historicism. He said that it is of no use. If we really want to understand language or language structure, so we need to probe la langue, which is in the mind. So language needs to be first studied synchronically, then diachronically. So synchronic linguistics, what should I say, it prefers language synchronically. Okay, that is, we should, he said that instead of studying let's say Old English and Chaucerian English, Shakespearean English, and English in the times of Bernard Shaw, etc., which is going back into history, we should take up the language of one era. Let's say Shakespearean language. Now don't compare it words of Shakespeare with other developmental stages. Rather, take up language at a particular time and now study its structure. Okay, and as far as structure of language is concerned, he said that uh, every piece in language has a structure. Even he said that even sound images, words, they have a structure. Like in English we can't say see, bring. So these are the sounds in English. We said that even here there is a linear arrangement, okay, syntagm, that these two sounds, consonants, which is known as consonant cluster. He said you can't have a word in English which starts like this, r, r. Like we can't say that there is a word r, r, ra sound can't come before ba sound. Why? Because there is a sonority principle. Okay, so ba and ra, they will always be like this because there is a vowel ahead, like this. So this is at the peak, this is the peak of sonority. So ra should be close to this sonority. So it can't be like this, that we can say r. Ba is a consonant which has less level of sonority or musicality, but ra has more level of musicality. So it should go to the nearest of this musicality level, that is peak, that is it has syllable structure. So there is a system in every even in words and then sentences, and in order to understand this structure, we need to study language synchronically, and we should not go back into history the way philologists studied language. Let me take you back. So he said that in 19th century language was studied historically. Historically means that they used to studied language in a way that you can say that they compared words from one language to another language. Okay, let me show you another picture. So this was what was going on in historicism. Okay, like comparing words of one language with others, genetic relations among languages, that is family tree. Then this was being discussed in previous era. So he said that it should be discarded and new approach should be adopted. So, in today's lecture, I talked about structuralism. Okay, language is a structure, and each structure is a part of a larger structure, that is a system. And in order to understand the language, we need to study la langue and not the parole. Okay, the surface utterances by speakers. And these structures have vertical relations between them and horizontal relations. So if we shift one structure, other structure will be dislodged. So all this has to be studied. Then there is nothing in words are just sound images, and there is no intrinsic relation between words and the real life objects or the mental images. So language uses symbolic signs which are arbitrary. Every society has got its own convention to name things. So we should not rely on philological ways. Okay, philology, that is studying words, or etymology. Rather, we should discard historicism or structuralism. This historical development of languages. We should concentrate language of a particular time. Okay, that's English in 20th century. Okay, English in 16th century. That's it. And we should get into the mind and see what's happening inside the mind. Okay, so in the next video lecture, I'll talk about generativism, which is also a kind of structuralism. Okay, because Ferdinand de Saussure talks about Lang and parole, and Noam Chomsky also talks about competence and performance. However, there is a little bit difference between the two, and because both have introduced linguistics as a science. Okay, earlier linguistics was just a study, but they have shown linguistics as a math. So it is, everything is precise in linguistics, and there is nothing which can't be explained with there is a scientific rationale behind everything. So the words, languages we are using, they have a scientific basis. Okay, so stay tuned, listen to previous two lectures, and then inshallah we will cover other schools of linguistics as well. As a third semester students, maybe ideas presented in this lecture or in the previous lectures, they may not be digestible or palatable, so you may have some a hard time to grasp them. But it is like this. So initially you don't get ideas, but as you develop cognitively, as time elapses, rolls on, you get ideas. Okay, when you are in matriculation, you don't understand things related to physics, but as you move into FSC or BSc or MSc, things gradually dawn upon you, and you start understanding things. So don't get dismayed, or don't get disappointed. Just have basic terms at your fingertips. At least you should know that there are certain schools of linguistics which study language. Some language in Antiquity, language in 19th century, 20th century, and now functionalism, that is 21st century. So as you move into higher semesters, when you study each branch of linguistics, like semantics, pragmatics, discourse analysis, things will become clear to you. So from this lecture, you must have got an idea about de Saussure and his theories, and his book is the course in general linguistics. Now stay tuned for the next lecture, that is generativism, and it was propounded by Noam Chomsky in 1957 when he wrote a book, Syntactic Structures, that was in reaction to behaviorism. Okay, thank you very much.